This is the practice test for chapter 2. Before I start this, I just want to make sure I go over real quick. This is the formula sheet you will get. So we have that slope formula, slope-intercept form, point slope form, standard form, and how to find the slope when it's in standard form. Now, I will say really quickly, one of the things that a lot of people missed on the quiz, in standard form, this is what it looks like, but also you have to remember that there cannot be any fractions, and your A term, that first term, cannot be negative. Okay, we'll back to this as we need. So the first one, find points, that is going to be first slope formula. So I would y2, 2 minus y1 minus over x1 negative 2. Firstly, I would calculator, so I would just type in -4 minus 3 and -6 minus -2. That's how I would do it. So this is over -6 plus 2 is -4. Negative over negative, make sure you turn that into a positive 7 over 4. That's going to help you guys out. Number 2, real quick, this should be a quick one, but you have to make sure you this and study. What kind of line? A 0, it is a horizontal line. But just to keep reminding you of this, so hopefully it helps you remember, a horizontal line is y is equal to some number. So again, you don't actually have to have that part here at the end. That's fine. Just have to have the horizontal, but I think it's good to keep reminding you that horizontal line is y is equal to a number. You don't have any x in there. Next one, fairly similarly, what's undefined is a vertical line. You don't need this, but just so x is equal to a number is the equation for a vertical line. There's no y in that, just the x. Your formula sheet over here, actually, should get that on there. That's okay. I don't see my. So my a and my b, so it's -2 over b is -5. So that's -2 over -5, which is 2 over 5. Parallel to this one. So parallel, all we're looking for is that slope. We don't care about this y-intercept. We can ignore that. So if it is parallel, if there's a line that's parallel to that one, the slope of that line would be 2 over 3. Perpendicular. So perpendicular is the opposite reciprocal. And this is one of those on the formula sheet that memorized perpendicular slopes are opposite reciprocal. So this one's positive, so my opposite is negative, and the reciprocal is 3 over 2. I guess even the last, so far, number 2, 3, and 6 are all problems that aren't really that bad. You just have to memorize them. And 7 and 8 are going to be the same thing. The math part isn't bad, but you have to make sure you have it memorized. That's the hard part with these. Write the equation of a vertical line through this point. Now, we said this earlier. I said you didn't need it earlier, but vertical lines are x is equal to some number. So your answer is x is equal to, and then if it's x is equal to, it's always going to be that x value. So x is equal to -4. And the other one, a horizontal line, is y is equal to a number. So again, this is y is equal to, and if it's y is equal to, it's always going to be the y value for that one. So that is a horizontal line that goes through that ordered pair. Parallel to x is equal to 7, that goes through this point. So x is equal to 7 is a vertical line. So if it's parallel, we want another vertical line. So x is equal to 3. Now, again, one way to remember that, I guess the first thing to realize is this is a vertical line. It's not just any other normal line. So we will do problems later where you'll have like y is equal to 2x plus 4. That's done differently because this one is vertical. If it's parallel, if x is equal to, we need x is equal to for our answer. If it's perpendicular, then it's the other one. If we have y is equal to, we need x is equal to. But again, the other way to think about it, this is a horizontal line. So if you are perpendicular to a horizontal line, you are a vertical line. So that's why x is equal to -3. Form with slope -3/4 and goes through this point. So we wanted the slope-intercept form, but we don't have the y-intercept, so we have to first put it in point-slope form because they give us a point. So point-slope form is on here. Y minus my y1 times x minus x1 is 8. Make sure you are cleaning this up. To do in 2 steps like this, that's fine. One step, but I have minus a negative, and I don't have plus a plus like that as well. So try to make sure you take the time to clean that up for me. Problem where we want an equation that represents this model. So my cell phone bill was 20 cents per minute plus a $30 fee. So the big thing with this one is that word per kind of gives it away. But depending on how many minutes you speak does not change that $30 fee. So if you speak for 1 minute, or if you talk for 3 minutes, or you talk for 100 minutes, that $30 isn't going to change. So that does not get multiplied by anything. So that is the constant. The variable minutes, and that's equal to the total cost. So the cost of your cell phone bill is that fee plus how many minutes you talk. Form is x, well, I guess I can show here. Ax plus by is equal to c. But remember that part that I erased? No fractions. Everything by 2. So is equal to 2 times 5/2 x. Everything gets multiplied by 2, even that 8. Minus 16. To get it in 5x. But once you get here, then you still need to get rid of that negative. So we're almost there, but that a has to be positive. So I need to multiply everything by -1. All that essentially does is changing your that has a slope of -3/4 and goes through this point. So this one's a little bit easier because it's in point slope form. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to solve after that. So I have y minus, my y1 is 7, is equal to -3/4 times x minus -8. So minus 7 is equal to -3/4 times x plus 8. Form, so we've been doing this. We actually did this in chapter 0. So -3y is equal to, and then again, remember we can't combine the 5x and the 18. That's the biggest thing students with this is they forget that negative with the 3. So don't forget that minus sign and the negative. Everything 3 is equal to over negative 3 is positive 5 over 3x, then 18 divided by negative 3 is negative 6. Same thing with this one, put the following in slope-intercept form. So this is one of those problems that you will take the denominator and you'll distribute that to the left. The numerator, you'll distribute that one to the right. So my left-hand side, this is the one, I apologize, on yours. For whatever reason, half the equation's up here and half of it's down here. Same thing with this one, half of it got printed up here and half down here. So I just rewrote those. If you look at my answer key, you can see what that looks like. But I apologize for that. That should not have happened, and yeah. Already several hours because of it, so for another. Y plus 12 is equal to, distribute the negative 2 to the right, so that's negative 2x plus 24, negative 2 times negative 12. Then to get in slope-intercept form, now we keep trying to get that y by itself. So subtract 12, 3x is equal to negative 2 plus 12, or minus 12. Divide everything by 3, so we have y is equal to negative 2 over 3x plus 4. There are a couple other ways to do this. If you are interested in those, you can talk to me about that later, but that's how we have been doing that in class, and that's how I'm always going to do it and always going to show you to do it. But again, if you want a different way, by all means, come and ask. So graph this. This is slope. The y-intercept is. Now my slope, again, if I have a negative in front, I just put it with the numerator. So then to the right, 1, 2, and that is my point. Really only need those 2, but I like to do a couple more. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And remember, if you go down and to the right, that's the same thing as going up 3 to the left 2. So down and to the right is the same as going up and to the left. You only need 2 points, but I always like putting an extra couple. Equation of this line, and some people struggled with this on the quiz. All you need to do is find your slope and your y-intercept. So my y-intercept for this one is positive 1. My slope for this one, so it goes through this ordered pair and this ordered pair. So my rise over run, I go down 1, 2, 3, so negative 3 over to the right 2. Same slope we just had? Yeah, huh? Interesting. Should change that. Y is equal to 3 over 2x plus 1. So the next one, graph the following inequalities. So the first one, number 19, you have to solve that one. So be careful with this. Don't forget that negative. Do that. Negative 4x plus 12. And this time is the big one. By negative 3. By negative, you have to switch your sign. So less than 3x minus 4, 12 divided by negative 3. So negative 4 is down here. My slope is up 4 over 3 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So again, this is, and this one is y is less than, so we shade below. Now the problem with this that I will also say is some people like to do your cover-up method and find the x and y intercepts. So they find your x-intercept, divide by 4, so you get the x-intercept to be 3. That's what we have. And then we find our y-intercept to be negative 4. That's what we have. The only problem with graphing like that with an inequality is we still don't know which way to shade. Because a lot of people see this y greater than, so they think you shade above, but then we ended up flipping that sign. So just be careful with that. But we can use the x and y intercepts to graph. Just be careful if you're using it for an inequality. This one's already in slope-intercept form, so my y-intercept is negative 1. I go up 2 over 1. Again, I like to do that a couple times. Up 2 over 1 to the right is the same thing as down 2 over 1 to the over 1 to the left. And that is a dotted line. And it is greater than. Since y is greater than its above, the other one, y is less than any shade below. So 3x, again, standard form is over here. So negative 3x plus y is equal to 4. Don't leave that as your answer, because like we said, you cannot have a negative in front with your standard form. And that's one of those things that, as you can see, that is not on your formula sheet. I don't remember if I said this already. So that's something you're going to have to commit to your memory. So multiply the whole thing by negative 1, but really all that does is that just changes all of your signs to their opposites. So negative 3 becomes positive y becomes negative y, and positive 4 becomes negative 4. Form. It is almost identical to the one we did earlier when we put it in slope-intercept form, number 16. The only difference for this one, we do the same steps up until this step here, but then in 16 we divided by 3, and in this one we're going to end up adding by, this one you'd add by 2x, but ours is going to be something a little bit different. So for this one, numerator to the left, your numerator to the right. So we have 5y minus 15 is equal to 2x minus 30. And that's another thing that I really like this method. There's a couple other ways to do it, but this method is really nice for standard form because you get rid of fractions right away. And in standard form, you can't have fractions. So that's another reason I like this method. For 16, I'm going to add 15 to both sides. So y is equal to 2x. Negative 30 plus 15 is negative 15. Then last but not least for this one, now instead of dividing by 5, that'd be getting the y by itself for slope-intercept form, but instead we need to subtract 2x because again, we're doing this in standard form. So negative 2x plus 5y is equal to negative 15. But we still have that one extra step. We cannot have this be negative, so I need to multiply the whole thing by negative 1. You can't have the first number be negative. So it's positive 2x minus 5y is equal to positive 15. Every sign changes. Again, if you have these memorized, they shouldn't take very long. Your line A is a horizontal line, so horizontal lines are y is equal to, and it is y is equal to 3. That's where it crosses the the y-axis. Your line B is a vertical line, so x is equal to, and this one's negative 2 because that's where it crosses the x-axis. So I cover up my y value to find my x-intercept. Now, if I were you, I would cover it up with a piece of paper or your finger or something. Don't cross it out like I did because it's kind of hard to erase that. X is equal to 15, and now we just solve that. So my x-intercept is 8. Do the same thing. Don't cover up that negative. 16 divided by negative 4. I get y is equal to negative 4. 16 divided by negative 4. So that is your y-intercept. Form that goes through these two ordered pairs. So for point slope form, we already have a point. We have two of them. We don't have a slope. So the first thing you need to do is use your slope formula to find the slope. So this is my x1, y1, x2, y2. Not a bad idea to label those. So I have 2 minus negative 3 over 6 minus negative 4. The calculator. My numerator, I would type in 2 minus negative 3. And my denominator, I would type in 6 minus negative 4. Minus negative is plus, so this is 5. It doesn't matter which one of these you pick. I always pick my first one. We have y minus negative 3 is equal to 1/2 times x minus negative 4. So those plus, so we have y plus 3 is equal to 1/2 times x plus 4. That's also same thing by using this other point. So that would be y minus 2 is equal to 1/2 times x minus 6. Either of those will work. So these last ones are the parallel perpendicular ones, so make sure you're paying close attention to these. This one's nice because it's a point slope form, so it's a little bit easier, and it's perpendicular to this line. Now again, I've been putting these slopes in boxes because that's all I'm looking at. I don't need the y-intercept. I'm only looking at the slope for this. So if my slope is -8/5, I want it perpendicular. So my slope is going to be the opposite reciprocal. So +5/8. My point, put it in point slope form, y minus 12 is equal to 5/8 times x minus -9. And minus negative is positive. So that is your answer for this one. And the last one, it's the same thing because it's parallel instead of perpendicular, but it's a little harder because I want slope-intercept form. So again, the only thing I care about is the slope for this. This is the point. So even though they want it in slope-intercept form, we need to put it in point-slope form first, or at least that's the way I do it. So I start with y minus, y1 is -2, is equal to -4/3. Oh, sorry, I should have said, we start with, it's parallel, so their slope is -4/3, so my slope is also -4/3 since it's parallel. I like to do that at the beginning. For parallel, it's not as bad, but for perpendicular, it's pretty important. So sorry, I should have said that earlier. -4/3 times x minus 6. Bottom to the left, so 3y plus 6 is equal to the top to the right, 24. 3y is equal to -4x plus, then divide everything by 3. I get y is equal to -4/3x plus 6. Now, I don't think I mentioned this before, but a really decent way, I know I said it in class, a good way just to double check real quick that you're at least on the right track is this slope has to make sure it matches the slope that I wanted to start with. If you didn't, then there's something you messed up on because the slope should be the same. If you have any questions, make sure you're letting me know. This test kind of has a lot of both, where there's a lot of questions on here that don't take a lot of algebra. I mean, I could look through really quickly. Number 2, number 3, number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I would say. Maybe that's it. 23, I would include in that. Those are all problems that you don't really have to know math at all. All you have to do is memorize what you're looking for. So there are some other questions that are should be fairly easy, but they all require at least a little tiny bit of math. Those problems are solely memorization. So if you have any other questions, make sure you're letting me know. Thank you.